Hello, welcome back to the class. Today we are learning how to make a jacket, but that jacket I want to make, I'm making a 3 pieces at the front, or let me say 4 pieces, but it's going to have an opening at the center front, and the back I'm going to put sort of like a flare from the waist down. Okay, so here I have 2 layers of fabric, and the measurement I'll be needing for this particular one is 20. My blouse length is 23 inches, but I'll be adding 2 inches for my hemming allowance and the joining allowance here. Okay, so I'm working with my pattern. All right, so here I'm placing this pattern here. Okay, before I place the pattern, let me rule a 1-inch line. Okay, I need to rule a 1-inch line here to have my plackets, or let me just call it an opening, because I'm not going to put any button there. All right, so here I have my 1-inch line here. That's my starting point. Okay, all right, so that's my starting point. So here I'm placing my fabric, my pattern here. Okay, so here is going to be my starting point. Okay, so this is my half basic bodice, that's right to my waistline, and I have the princess line. Okay, this is what it looks like. All right, this is my bust line. All right, this is my bust line, this is my under bust. All right, so I'm working with the under bust because I'm making a 6 pieces skirt. I already have my my joining allowance there for the shoulder. So for this one, I'm going to draw it like this, so that I'll know where my under bust is. This is my bust line, this is my under bust, and this is my waist line. Okay, so now because I want to manage my fabric sort of, using this one, I'm turning it upside down, so that I'm going to have my sort of like is it fish now here, and then I'm going to have my slant there. Okay, so on this side I need 1 inch here for my joining allowance here, because I don't have any. You can see I wrote I had half inch sewing allowance, but I'll be adding 1 inch here because the jacket I need it to be a little bit free. All right, so here is my under bust, so obvious on this particular one, so I'm going to mark a line for my under bust. So here I have my shoulder seam here, I have my shoulder seam on this side. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is I'll be taking from here, what I have on the measurement here is 4 inches, so I have 4 inches here, and I'm adding another extra 4.5 inch. Okay, there. Why I had 4.5 inch there is because I need half an inch here, you know, to join my fabric, because here I don't have any seam allowance here, but I've already added half an inch on the shoulder here. So I'm going to trace my fabric out, my pattern here, and I'm adding my half an inch as I go. Okay, I'm adding my half an inch as I go like that. So I'm stopping here. So from this point I'll take my ruler to join it back, you know, to meet my extra inch that I added on the hem line here. So here I have 1 inch here. Okay, so I have 1 inch here, so that's 1 inch there. I have 1 inch allowance there. All right, so same thing that I did here is what I'm still going to do here. So here I'm tracing my pattern here. I equally trace the armhole. All right, so here I have my half inch, and I'm going to mark it like so. Okay, so on this point, then the measurement I have here, is 7 inches. So I'm bringing my 7-inch mark here. So on this side, my flare is not going to be super much. I'm just going to manage what I have here. Okay, so I will be taking it from here. All right, that way. So the measurement I have here, let me just confirm what I have here. I have like 10.5, I should have the same 10.5 here. Okay, so here I'm stopping at somewhere around here. Okay, so I'm just going to connect this one this way. So what I'm doing here, I'm just managing my fabric. Okay, if you have more fabric, you can as well add another 4 inches to this side, but I don't have fabric. What I have is what I am managing here. Okay, so here I have 10.5, and on this other side I have 10 inches as well. All right, so that's what I'm going to mark. I have 10.5. all right, okay. So now on this line here, you know, to be on this to make it a little bit curvy at that edge, I'm going up by 1 inch. Okay, I'll go up by 1 inch, and I'm going to join it to this side. Okay, and also on this end here, I'm going up by 1 inch. Now for this jacket I'm making, if you like, you can add your lining. If you don't want, you may not add your lining. All right, so I'm going to cut it out here, but assuming I have more fabric, I would have gone out. Okay, probably from this point of I have 6 inches here. Probably from this point of 6 inches, I would have added 4 inches. Okay, to give me a full flare there. But what I have here, I'm equally happy with it. Okay, or another thing that we can do, I think it's basically that's what we can do. Let's just work with what we have here. Okay, okay, so now I can do the cutting. So I want to just cross check my measurements again. I have 10 inches here, I have 10 inches too here. Okay, because I don't want to cut, then I will notice that I have some shortage of fabric there. All right, so I'm going to cut this way. I want to cut this side first. So don't forget, I've added my seam allowances. Okay, so now for the neck band. Okay, for the neck band of this particular one, this is my neckline. So for my neckline, I'm working with what I have here before is 3¼ of an inch. So I'm working with that with 4 inches. Okay, with 4 inches. So I'm going to just curve it out. Okay, so that will be my neckline. Okay, and that's basically going to be my neckline. So let me just cut it out. All right, so that's what I have there. So before I open up, I want to notch my center line. So this is what I have here. Can you see that? So beautiful. Okay, all right, so this is my center front. Then I will move to my center back so that I can do the cutting. Okay, so this is marked down. I can equally remove my pattern. On this side now, I have this. Can you see that? So beautiful. And for my center front, I have this. So this is what it's going to look like. Can you see that? So this is one side, and then I have a replica of this, which is this one, okay, for the other side. So let's move to the back. So now for the back, I have this for my back. Okay, I'm going to flip it over because my pattern comes with my fabric comes with a pattern. So I'm working like so. Alright, so this is my back measurement. Let me see if I can work this way. That's one beautiful thing, with patterns. You can always switch it as you like. Alright, so I'm working with here. Alright, so at this edge here I have an excess of fabric there, so I can't go beyond this line. Let me just roll that line out so that we can all see it. I can't go beyond this line. Sorry, I can't go beyond that line, okay? And I need my seam allowance of 1 inch on this side. So that's why I'm moving my fabric here. And I need another seam allowance here. And I already have my seam allowance on this side, okay? So that is how this is going to be. So like I said earlier, I'm having a flare, you know, to make the end of my fabric here, my blouse, you know, to meet with the front length, okay? So here I'm going to cut it. I already have my seam allowance on this side. If you look at my pattern, I already ruled my seam allowance. I have my seam allowance equally on this side, but on the M and here and on the side, I don't have any seam allowance, okay? So that's why I'm adding my seam allowances here. I have 1 inch here, and on this upper part I'm okay. So I'm going to cut now. So that is that there. So I need to throw. Okay, so here is what I have, and why I've not cut the neck is I want the neck to be same measurement with that one. So here is my hemming allowance for the back, okay? So I want the neck to be equal with the front. So I'm going to bring my front back. So when you look at this front now, here is my joining allowance. Okay, so here is my joining allowance. Can you see that? Okay, can you see that? So that my neck width can be the same. Alright, so here I'm going down by 1 inch. I'm equally okay with an inch there, okay? I'm going with an inch. You know, I already have half an inch here for sewing allowance. So if I measure here, I will have 1.5. Can you see that? I have 1.5. Alright, so now I'm cutting this one off. So here I'm done. So this is what my back look like. Can you see that? This is what my back look like. I have an inch there, I mean half an inch there for my hemming allowance, and then this is what my front looks like. So if you look at the pattern now, this is longer, this is longer, you know, then my this is longer than the back. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut my flare. All right, so for me to know the length of the flare I'm working with, I will match this one on the shoulder line and check the excess I have there. Okay, I'll check the excess I have there. So here I have, you know, I have an half an inch here, so I have like 9.5 inches. Okay, so if I'm adding my seam allowance now to this one, I will just make it 10.5 of an inch. So that will be the length of my, I have a fabric of, let me measure for you here. I have 33 inches by 16.5 inch. Okay, and why I have that is because I'm making this flare, and this flare is only for the back, so that means I'm taking a 180-degree flare. Okay, this is not 360 or 720, this is just for the, that's just for the back. Okay, so now I'm going to fold over. Okay, I folded it once. Okay, and I'm folding again. Can you see that I folded it to 90 degree, and from 90 degree I'm folding again. Okay, so I'm doing the folding this way. All right, so here I have 4 layers of fabric. I have 1, I have 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so now the length of what I wanted from here, I need 10.5. Okay, but I'll just make it 11. All right, and on this point here my radius is 5.25. Okay, that's 5 inches and a quarter. All right, so that's what I'm going to mark all through here. Okay, so I'm just going to mark that all through here. Okay, so I'm going to have something that looks like this, and that's what I'm going to cut out. But before I cut it out, I want to mark the same length I have here. That's 11 inches. I'm marking, sorry, that's 16.5, and that same thing I'm going to mark on this side. So I'm going to mark that 16.5 that way. Okay, so I have 16.5 like so. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off, and I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so I'm equally cutting this off. All right, so here is what I have. I've cut these two off. Then I have my flare. Can you see what my flare looks like now? Okay, so I'm going to do some little work on this side. On this side now, what I wanted was, I want here to be a little bit longer. That's the center back here. I want it to be a little bit longer. So here, all I needed here was that's maybe 9.5. Let me just leave this one at 9.5 of an inch. Okay, because why I have it 9.5 is on that particular one, on this blouse. Let me bring the blouse back. Okay, the length I have here, the distance, the difference from my back and my front. Okay, the difference I have here, I'm trying to place them on each other so that you'll be able to see that difference clearly. The difference I have here is plus my half inch sewing allowance here. I have 9.5. On this 9.5, I have 1 inch going off for my hemming allowance. Okay, so once I take that hemming allowance off, what I'm left with here will be 8 inches. Okay, so that's why on this part now I marked 9.5. Why I marked 9.5 here, I'm hemming this one. Okay, or let me just make it 9 inches. because I'm going to hem here by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to join here to the waist of my back, you know, to my back waist here. I'm joining this one to my back waist like this, okay? I'm going to join it at the end of the day to conform with this one, all right? So the joining, reducing by 1/2 inch, so I'm going to join it back to meet this one. So from somewhere here, I'm going to connect to meet that, okay? So I'm cutting this one off. All right. So that's all for the class. I have my flare for the back. I have 2 pieces of my back here. That's, you can see them. I have 2 pieces for my back, and I have 4 pieces for my front, okay? I have 2 sides. These are my 2 sides, and these are my 2 fronts. Can you see? This is my 2 fronts. Let me just show you clearly. These are my 2 fronts, okay? Can you see the 2 fronts now? This is what it looks like, okay? My flare, okay? My back pattern, okay? This center back, I'm going to join it together, okay? So that goes with that, and this is my 2 side seams. Can you see that? So this is working with one of this one. It is working with one of this one. Can you see that? So once I join together now, I'm going to have this one together to have my front jacket, okay? So thank you so much for watching with me. And here is the skirt pattern I did earlier, okay? This is the skirt pattern I did earlier. You can see the skirt. All right, so I'm going to join them together, and for this one I'm cutting the lining, and for my front I'm cutting lining too.